Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be installing a RecPro 13 by 10 foot awning on the side of my cargo trailer. So it's 13 feet across the side and it expands 10 feet out. This is for when I'm working on aircraft. I can snug up a aircraft just underneath the awning to keep out of the sun during the hot summers and out of the rain in the winters. So uh, it wasn't too hard to install, but it was during the summertime and it was about 113 degrees that day, if I remember. So I hope you like it, and I'll see you on the next one. Well, here's everything unpacked out of the box. These are the legs, those are the rollers, the attachments for the legs itself, and then the awning itself. I got a little bag of instructions and screws and whatnot. So we'll get going on it. So real quick, before I go back out there, I'll show you something. But so the RecPro screws were these little ones with a Phillips head. They're about 1.5 inches long. I had a real hard time trying to drive these in through the aluminum decorative plating and then into the steel beam. Behind that, they kept coming out of my drill, and I'd strip out the head, so I stopped yesterday. And I went back to the hardware store and I bought some more Everbuilt number 8 1.5 inch to replace those screws. And because it's got the driver head on it, it goes in lots better, and it's got a better self-tapping portion on it as well. So if you're going to do this, I would highly recommend replacing it with these. Once I got done with everything, screwing in the top rail, you can see the top rail up top here. I went back and I coated everything, all my bolts, with some black sealant, and just for any kind of water or moisture that might try to wick into that screw through that area. And another note too, you might notice that my
strip rail, or my my mount point for the awning, I actually had to mount upside down. And the reason I know that is because on top there's a little area for an LED. It's a little LED recess area for a set of LED lights. The problem was, on this trailer, this decorative band here is taller than the structural steel beam inside. So when I had to split the other side, I was just going into the aluminum, and I'd go above, or I'd skeet across the top of the beam, and it wouldn't actually screw into the beam. So I looked at the profile really close, and I believe it's the same. We're going to find out, and hopefully I didn't screw things up, and I hope it stays in there the way that it's supposed to. We'll see. But I had to flip it upside down just because I needed to get the screws into the meat of the frame. So we'll see how that turns out. It's pretty difficult working in 110 degree weather, so you got to have all these funny hats on and all the sunblock and whatnot. So I'll get going on the rest of it. so now what we're going to do is thread the awning onto the reel. I just wanted to do a recap for the installation of my RecPro 13-foot awning and a few things that I had to learn along the way. Just real quick, when I first put the awning on and I went to roll it up, I realized that I had no tension on the springs. So I did some research and I couldn't ever find a RecPro 13-foot awning, but I figured out that they're all kind of similar to the same in how they work and whatnot. It's like a garage door. In this one, all I did was I took the arm off through this bolt right here, and I set the arm down on a stool that I had, and then I took a punch that I have that fit the hole that goes through the bolt hole here, and I took a punch and I put through that hole, and I was able to turn each side. I did it in increments of 3. I did 3 turns at a time. I put it back together, let it roll up, and it didn't have enough tension on it, so I took it all back apart, and I did it 3 more times for a total of 6 turns in the tension side on each side, and that gave me the right spring tension that I needed to let the awning roll up on its own. So I got that fixed, and I got all that put back together. And then what I found out or realized was that when you roll this up, the stow position, all the legs, so this leg here and the one on the other side, it folds up into this little galley right here. And what's happening is it was off, like the whole thing was being off center, and I couldn't figure out why. And it wouldn't go into the stow position because it kept hitting these legs. So what I did and what I figured out was I didn't have my awning centered on the rail at the top. So I went back up and I took out my set screws that hold the awning in place from sliding back and forth, and then I repositioned the awning so that it's exactly centered on that rail. And then I remounted my set screws, and then I also filled up my old screw holes, which I didn't have. I filled those up with some black silicone that I had. And then the next thing I did, I was reading as well, was I came down and I found the center on the barrel, down the spring barrel. So I measured on each side, and I made sure that the awning itself was centered on the spring barrel. And the last thing I did was I read a few articles that said when they put the full string, if they put that in the middle, it helps it roll up a little easier as well. So I went ahead and I marked center, and I just used a Sharpie, and I measured from end to end. I found the center and I marked it, and when I rolled it up this time, it finally locked in to stow position. Now I do have to kind of, I think I have to move the back in or out just a little bit to make it go in, but it's working a lot better than what it was before I had centered the canopy on the railing and on the drum. So that works a lot better. One of the other things I had to do, and I mentioned it before, was the rail here that locks the canopy to the trailer. It was made in such a way that the screws that mounted it were going through the trim on the trailer, but above the actual structural steel beam inside the trailer. So I was only locking it into this very thin little piece of aluminum here, and I didn't like that. So what I had to do was I took that railing and I flipped it upside down, and that put the screw holes lower, and that allowed me to capture those screws into the actual steel frame that's behind the aluminum decorative piece at the top of the trailer, which was this right here. What it did do is 2 things. When RecPro built that, they built a slot for a set of LED lights that you can slide in there, and you can turn those on and off when the canopy's out, or even when the canopy's rolled up. So that, unfortunately, is pointing up to the sky, and it will do me no good. And the other thing was, because of the design of it, the screw holes are on the bottom now, and the awning is attached above the screw holes, which means that it's going to want to maybe possibly try to pull it away from the trailer. We're going to monitor this over time. At worst case scenario, I might actually have to order a whole brand new rail and try to re-engineer it and install it, maybe come down at an angle with the screws. But right now, from what I've been looking at, it seems like it's working okay. There's not a lot of tension being put on it once it's out. And I did also make sure that the profile of the C-channel was the same upside down or right side up. Like the only difference was the position of the screw holes and the LED light fixture. So the only thing that was different was the position of the screw holes, and the LED light fixture was facing up now. Other than that, it went pretty okay. One of the things that I was worried about was that the corner of the door would rub on the trailer, or on the canopy, and as luck has it, you can see here, I'm okay. I seem to be missing it, so I'll deal with it later. One of the ideas I've had is to go down to Home Depot, and in the plumbing department, they make preformed corners out of foam with a slot in it, and my thoughts were is possibly buy one of those, and when I'm opening the door or when I'm using the door in the awning, maybe I can put it on that corner, and it'll protect the awning from getting torn. So that's one of the things I could do. The last thing I've got to do is do the door. The door has had a place to hold the door closed when the door is open. So I can either get something else a little bit longer to try to reach to the door now, or possibly move this little guy maybe to here or something, and then I could have it locked to here. I'm not sure yet. That's kind of a minor issue, and I'll figure that out. And there might be even something out there already that I just haven't even seen yet that would work great. So other than that, I did have a few things I had to change that I didn't quite see in the instructions, and I did have to change out all the mounting hardware, especially on the rail and on the feet for the tops and the bottoms. The hardware that they had seems like it was made more for wood, not really self-tapping hardware into metal. The little tiny screws at the top rail were hardware for metal, but because they were a Apex or a Phillips head type head, my screw gun was having a real hard time capturing those and keeping them drilling, and it just kept stripping out the Phillips head. So I stopped and I went down to the hardware store, and I brought the Everbright products, and with the actual torque head on it, and it works much better. I would definitely recommend before you even start to change out your hardware to those type screws. It'll make your life go a lot better. So other than that, I think it turned out pretty good. I don't have any wrinkles in it. It's a first time installation. I'm sure I've done things wrong, but it does work. I don't even know how much I'm going to be using it, but it does make the trailer feel a lot more cool and shady. Definitely if I have to work out here or do anything. So I like the way that it's coming out. So we'll get it rolled up, and we'll end this video. On the next one to come, we're going to be doing some gray tank and black tank installations. So we'll see you then. there we go. That was pretty good. I like the way it came out. It's nice and compact, and it folds into the stow position every time now. So I'm pretty satisfied. See you on the next one.